Hi, welcome back to How to Market Your Horse Business with Denise Alvarez. I am so glad you've joined me here today on the podcast. In case you're new to the show, let me take a minute just to share a little bit about myself. Through my business, Storm Lily Marketing, I help horse business owners like yourself create and implement effective website marketing strategies. Helping horse people build a sustainable business so you can be out in the barn doing more of what you love is what I love to do. Primarily, I focus on website creation, from design and writing the words on your website to just managing the project for you, generating leads on your website, and then email marketing. I get that websites and marketing and tech can be so overwhelming or even frustrating for many horse business owners. That's why, through a mix of step-by-step strategies, basic how-tos, and simple formulas and methods, I'm here to help you not only see what's possible for your business, but I'm also going to guide you through the process to help you make it happen. And today on the podcast, we're talking about client and customer testimonials. Of course, clients and customers are one and the same, depending on the business you're in, so I'll use those words interchangeably. I'll be sharing how you probably already have more testimonials available than you realize, and how you can take those and use them to help you market your business in a real and authentic way. Plus, we'll even get really practical and talk about the best ways to store and organize your client testimonials. I've actually invited my friend Lindsay Hayes-Cofell back onto the podcast again. You may remember she was with me back on episode number 2 as we dove headfirst into email marketing for horse businesses. If you missed that episode, I really encourage you to go back and check it out. Lindsay and her husband Jess are really doing some neat things to market their horse business, and I think you would learn so much from it. So I wanted to have her back here just because she has so much to offer and share as a fellow horse business owner who's in it every day just like you. So you can probably expect to hear from her every now and then. We talk all the time about this podcast, and she's passionate about helping her fellow horse business owners like yourself succeed in growing your business. So it makes perfect sense to have her keep coming back on the show to share what she knows. And really, I think there's so much value in that. So I'm going to continue to include different guests on the show every now and then. So stay tuned for those because I do have a couple fun episodes up my sleeve. Okay, let's get into the topic of customer testimonials. If the word testimonial sounds too formal or too much like marketing speak, then just think of it as customer stories, because that's what the most effective testimonials are. They tell a story about your customer's journey. Really, the best testimonials cover 3 main areas. What was life like before they came to work with you? What was their experience like working with you? And what is life like for them now? And in what ways or what way is it better than it was before? Now, that doesn't mean you have to go get an entire paragraph every time you want to share a testimonial or for every person that comes to you and share something positive. But it does mean that telling a transformation story of a person getting from point A to point B because of your help is going to be a much more powerful way to use your testimonials than just sharing a quote where your customer talks about how great you are or how much I loved working with so-and-so. It's a little more personal, and it just gets a little more to that emotional connection. But we'll get into that more as I'm talking with Lindsay. Okay, so here we go. Let's welcome Lindsay back to the podcast. Hey, Lindsay, thank you so much for being on the podcast again today. I'm really glad to have you back.
Thanks for asking me. I always love chatting with you.
Yes, good. I'm glad because I do too. And I said actually in my intro before this conversation that this won't be the last they hear from you, I'm sure, because I enjoy actually talking about marketing with you. And I love the way you guys are applying it in your business. And I know you have a lot to share. So yeah, I'm excited. So as I said, we're talking about testimonials today.
Yep.
And how you can use the ones that you've really got in your back pocket that you don't really realize you have to boost your marketing. So tell me for you, some of the least likely or maybe least thought of ways that you've grabbed testimonials from your own customers.
I used to think that you had to have a very formal written testimonial in order to be professional. And that's not the case anymore. It's not what I think people are interested in reading, and it's just not really very realistic. So for me, what I have found and what I have been using more recently are things like text messages that somebody has sent me. So if somebody was here for a lesson and they had a really great lesson and they texted me on their way home and they said, hey, thanks for the lesson. I'm feeling so much better about this, or I can't wait to try these things with my horse. I'm using that as a testimonial. I had somebody who went on a trail ride. I don't do a lot of trail riding and I don't really focus on that in our lessons, but we were able to set up some things to help her in her lessons. And she went on a trail ride and there was a low hanging branch and there was kind of an exciting, dangerous scenario. And she sent me a text message afterwards and said that she heard my voice in her head and I coached her all the way through
That's
that
awesome.
dangerous position. Um, so I have some really cute, really organic things like that, text messages or Facebook messages that people send me after their lessons.
That is creative. And I remember when you said that thinking that's just brilliant because you're just paying attention. Because I'm sure a lot of people listening are thinking, oh, that counts. I get
I
those.
have that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then you mentioned Facebook. So, what about Facebook reviews? Have you or do you use those as testimonials for your business?
So we have started using them a little bit. We've never asked people to fill them out, which is probably a big mistake because I think they're really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But a number of our clients have taken it upon themselves to fill out the review section in Facebook, and they're amazing. It's so nice to get just a super organic testimonial that somebody has volunteered to put out there. They volunteered their time and their effort and they're just really going out of their way to do this nice thing for you. And I think that people really value that. The horse industry is not very well regulated, in my opinion. Pretty well anybody can say that they are a horse trainer. You can put up a sign at the end of your driveway and you are a horse trainer now. And I think it's so important to have those really organic testimonials to prove the kind of work that you're doing.
That is such a good point. I really hadn't thought about the value of it that way. But you're right, because when you say go to my Facebook page and go to my website, it just adds a little extra validity to what you're doing. And then, especially when you have reviews there and people saying they enjoyed their experience with you, that's an additional layer. So that's great. And that actually brings me to the other idea that we talked about in terms of testimonials that horse business owners have in their back pocket. And that is their clients that love them. And that you said a few minutes ago, you said when they take the time to leave a review on Facebook, they're giving up their time to do that. And you just recognize the kindness in that. And really, you probably have a lot of clients and customers that are saying, hey, whatever I can do to help you out. You've helped me so much with my horse. You've helped my kids so much, whatever I can do. And so asking them, just saying, actually, if you would just shoot me an email, if you would shoot me a Facebook message, tell me a little bit about your experience, give, and don't say, yeah, if you would share a testimonial, but ask them to share their experience, and they're happy to do that. Have you experienced that some?
Oh, 100%. I think because it's their outlet and their thing that they do for themselves, or it's for parents when I'm teaching their kids, they can't do enough for me. So I think the role that we play as coaches and as trainers and helping people with this very, very important part of their life and part of their identity, on our side, we're really trying to do the best we possibly can because they're giving us a paycheck, but it means so much more to them that they're so happy to be able to do something back for us. They're more than happy to write a testimonial or send a quick email or, click the number of stars on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay. So when we were working on your website this summer, I specifically said, hey, it would be great to have some testimonials to throw around on your website. I think that can add a lot of value. Can you help gather some of those for me. And so you actually jumped on your Facebook page and asked. So tell a little bit about how you did that and the success that you had, because you sent me a ton.
Okay, so like we're saying that I jumped on Facebook Live as if it's something that I do all the time, and I don't. I I have been on Facebook Live at the time of this recording 3 times in my whole life, I think, and they've all been in the last few weeks. So it's not something that I'm really comfortable or really experienced with, but it was something that I wanted to express in a really natural way. I wanted people to be able to see my face and hear my voice when I'm asking them to do this, because it's an ask. It's a big ask, to ask somebody to do that. So I went on Facebook Live, and I had some connection issues, unfortunately, but it got out there. And I just told everybody that we had this beautiful new website and that you had been working really hard at it and it was fabulous, but that we wanted for our clients to be represented on that website, that they are, the best part basically of our business. And so we wanted to be able to share their faces and their stories on our website. And I used the guide that you gave me, your free guide, about how they felt before they started working with us, how they felt after, since working with us, and what their favorite thing has been since working with us or while working with us. And we got a whole bunch of them. Almost nobody stuck to like the three sentences.
No, they definitely didn't.
Yeah. They went on and on, but that was beautiful too.
It was.
They sent their photos, and we had too many to go on the website. So we'll find some other places to put them. But yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, it was. And you're right. We'll talk actually in a little bit. I'm going to ask you about how you're using those success stories and those testimonials. But yeah, it was so good. And I'm glad that you said, that it's not like you just get on Facebook Live and do that all the time, because I realize that a lot of people aren't doing that. But that also is part of what made it so authentic and exciting, I think, for your clients to hear from, and believable that they knew that you really were making an ask and they wanted to do that for you. Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's say those who are listening right now, they're like, okay, I'm gathering my information. I'm going to go back through my text messages. I'm going to look at my Facebook messages, wherever they might be. Let's talk about actually what to do with those. So how do we get them organized? And why would you even need them organized? So your website is a perfect example. Say you're going to work with someone and they're like, can you send me testimonials? And you're saying, I don't know, let me forward you a bunch of text messages. It would be beautiful and not always possible. And I totally get that. But what if you actually said, sure, here you go. Here's a Word document. I've put them all here. I have permission to post any of those, or you've got a notes app. If you have a smartphone, then you've got some sort of app where you can keep notes and you can keep them there. And pictures, as you said, you ask them, send us a picture of you with your horse, but label those pictures would be my tip. When you forward those on, at least forward them on with the right testimonial so that your designer knows who it goes with. But do you have any other tips? Like what other things have you thought to do since you started that process?
Okay. So like, I'm trying to get better with it, but I'm not super techie and I'm not super organized with things like that.
You're not the only one.
So my advice or my input would be, whatever you are familiar with, do that.
Yeah.
If you are familiar with emailing and you can, copy and paste into an email and send it to yourself and make the title testimonial, whatever way is easiest for you to start collecting them. Because once you've collected 3 or 4, then it becomes easier to start piling them all together. That would be my tip. And then the other thing that we do that is a really good way to get really organic testimonials or things that we can use is, after we've had an event, we will post about that event and thank everybody for coming. So like, after somebody has been here for our clinic, we'll say, we had a great day. We usually have something kind of individual or personalized to that group. A lot of times we have potluck lunches. So a lot of times it has to do with the potluck lunch, or a joke or something that happened, something funny, something funny that somebody said. And then we'll end up getting a bunch of comments from the people who attended. And they'll say things like, oh, I had such a great time. I loved this, or I can't wait to come back. Or you set yourself up for a whole bunch of testimonials.
Yeah, that's great. You're so right. Okay, let's talk about how we use those. So we said, how we collect them, but how do we actually boost your marketing with that? So obviously, we talked about the website. One tip I would give you if you're working on your website or you're going to is testimonial pages versus just putting them on a page. So I don't know about you, but when I go to a website and it says testimonials, I don't usually click on that. I'm there to get the information I want. So if someone's coming to Lindsay's website and they want to learn about the lessons, they're going to go to the lessons page. So on that page, we put a testimonial. So, when you have your website, don't just put them all in one place, but put them in different places and get a few that are different and relevant to the topic at hand. Of course, social media is another really good place. I know, Lindsay, you talked about you're going to create some shareable images that you can put together in Canva, which we won't get into the technical part because I don't want to freak anybody out. But that's a great way to do it. And even honestly, if you post a picture of the client with their horse, you don't have to go create this shareable image that's beautifully designed. Get a really good picture, post that picture, and then in your post text, write your customer's story. Are there other things that I'm missing that you're thinking of?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Facebook is a really good way for us. That's kind of where we're at and where our audience is. And so that's one of the ways we do it. Stories are also a really easy way to make it really informal. You can just add the text over top of a photo.
Yeah.
No, I think we covered it there.
That's a super good point. Yeah, I didn't even bring that up. But yeah, Facebook stories or Instagram stories, it might seem a little like, oh, I don't ever touch that. But believe it or not, a lot of people are looking at those. So that's a really good idea. The other thing to think about when you do that is the person that you're featuring is probably going to go share that. So that's going to help with your marketing as well, frankly. You're sharing a success story, but then they're going, oh, look at this. I'm on their Facebook page. I want everybody to see it. And then you never know who they know that might actually be looking for the services that you're providing. So that's almost like free advertisement there for you.
Totally. I think the best is when a client post something themselves. They'll post a photo or how much they enjoyed their lesson or a video of them doing something that they weren't able to do before and they tag us in it. That's the best. If we can encourage them to do that in some way or encourage them at least to tag us in it if they're doing it anyways, and then we can reshare it. That's awesome.
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah. Anybody listening, make sure that you do that. That's really good. And pay attention to your notifications, because if they tag you and you don't ever look at your notifications, then you're never going to know you've been tagged.
Yeah, you got to be there. If they're doing stuff like that for you, you got to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's talk about the actual how of client testimonials. So what do you say when you share these things, when you're putting it on your website, when you're putting it on social media, when you're having a conversation with someone? How do you actually share a testimonial? And what I'm trying to say, I guess, is what's the words that you use when you're sharing it? Do you say things like, oh, I'm so glad Jenny had a good lesson today, versus actually really getting into the story? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you have to, the more specific you can get, the better it's going to be. Right? The more specific that you can get about who it is that is doing so much better with their riding or doing things that they never thought that they would do. People like that, even if it's not something that they relate to exactly. Maybe they're not somebody who wants to have a futurity horse, but they've seen that somebody else has put a lot of effort in, and now their horse has made it to the futurity and done well. They can relate to that and they're excited about that, as opposed to just something very generic, which is like, oh, this person, was reserve champion at this horse show.
Yeah. No, that's a really good example. Yeah, I was even thinking about a similar. So, say that you're a lesson barn, and your customer has always wanted to run barrels, and they come to you and say, can you teach me how to run barrels? And so they're going to their local rodeo now and having fun, and it's changed them. They may not be out there winning a bunch of buckles, but they're loving their experience, and they owe that to you. So say you're going to post it on Facebook and you're going to post a picture of her. Okay, tell me which sounds better. If you're listening to the podcast, Susie came to us wanting to learn barrels, and now she's doing a great job with her horse. Okay, well, that tells you a little bit about it. But what if you said something like, Susie had wanted to run barrels since she was a little girl, but for so many different reasons, it never actually happened. But now that she has children of her own, she wanted to teach them they can do anything. And so she came to us. She started as a really green rider with a green horse, but now she's out at her local rodeo, and we just enrolled her daughter who's wanting to follow in her footsteps. Well, now you've told a story. It took a little more effort, it definitely takes a little more effort and brain power to do that. But I'm telling you, when your audience, they see that, whether they see it in email, whether they see it on social media, they're going to identify with that, and they're going to be cheering her on. And when you just put that little plug in there to say, hey, we helped make that happen, then that person that's reading that going, oh, I've always wanted to learn such and such. Maybe I really could do that. Maybe I haven't waited too long in life, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think we've covered a ton when it comes to testimonials. I think there's a lot more we could still talk about. And if you're listening and you have questions further, then please do let me know. But I think we've covered a lot of ground today, and I hope that you all have a lot of things that you can walk away with and start applying in your business now, because that's the goal of the podcast, to give you something to start applying in your business so you can really market your business well. So do you have anything else to add, Lindsay, that you want to throw on there?
I don't think so. I think that was great. I think I personally really like the idea of testimonials being more organic and more natural feeling. And I think you've laid out a lot of really good tips for how to utilize the testimonials that us horse people have coming in that we didn't really think about as being testimonials. But, I think probably all of us have a text message or a message somewhere in our history that we could pull out right now to use.
Yeah. And I meant to say this earlier too when you said that about text messages, but something super simple and easy to do is take a screenshot. You can block out the person's name when you do that, but take a screenshot, block out that name if they don't want their name shared, and then post that and say, I just love getting these messages, being reminded why I do what I do, and that's a really organic way to share those kinds of things too. So another tip for the end. Well, thank you again. And everybody, if you didn't listen to episode number 2 with Lindsay, please go back. I think you'll really love hearing more about her and her business and what they're doing there. And make sure to check out their website. You want to give them your website and social media so they can go connect with you online?
Yeah, absolutely. Our website is hayes-performancehorses.ca. And our Facebook page is Hayes Cofell Performance Horses. And you can find us on Instagram as well at Hayes Cofell PH.
Awesome. Thank you so much again, Lindsay. I am so glad to have you on, and we will definitely have you back on again, I'm sure.
Thanks for having me. I look forward to every conversation with you, Denise.
Wasn't that such a fun conversation? I just really get excited about sharing some practical tips with you and things that you can take and easily apply in your business. And I really think that collecting testimonials and using them in the right way is a really good idea for you. So I want to hear what was new or different and maybe an, oh, that sounds doable kind of moment for you as you listen to Lindsay and me talk about the testimonials that you actually do have in your back pocket and how they can boost your marketing. So, will you jump into my free Facebook group, How to Market Your Horse Business, and let me know what you've learned today? It's a Facebook community that I really want to meet you in. You can connect with and learn from fellow horse business owners, and I promise you're really going to love it there. So just look for How to Market Your Horse Business on Facebook, find the group, and click join. Okay, friends, that is really all I've got for you today. Remember, you can find a summary of what we talked about here and what you should have in all of your testimonials over at the show notes at stormlilymarketing.com/4 for episode number 4. And if you're enjoying the podcast so far, I would be so grateful if you'd tell your friends and your colleagues about it so they can join us over here too. And if you're listening in Apple Podcast, be sure you leave a rating and review. It really does help. And it helps when somebody jumps into the podcast app on their phone. It helps Apple to know that this is actually one that they should be listening to if they're into horses and if they have a business. Now, if you have any marketing questions you'd like me to answer here on the podcast, or someone you think would be a great person to interview for a future episode, I would love it if you'd head over to my website, stormlilymarketing.com, and get in touch. I would really love to hear from you. Okay, now if you're not getting notified when a new episode is available, remember, it's super easy to do. All you have to do is subscribe on your favorite podcast listening app, whether it's Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Google, any of the other great ones. I should be on there, and you can just click subscribe and you'll get those notifications every week. Of course, you can also get on my email list, and I would love to send you a quick note each week just to let you know that a new episode has come up and what we'll be talking about. You can just do that at stormlilymarketing.com, again, over on my website. You can sign up for that free website checklist that you'll see there, or get on the list to sign up for podcast updates on my podcast page. Okay, friends, that is all I've got for now. Have a great day, and I will see you next week.